Hey everyone, welcome back to another Tic Tac Taiko. This week I have a drill that's somewhere in between a quick and dirty drill, a difficult drill, and a regular drill. It's going to work both your control and your perception. Let's go. I'm calling this week's drill compression because you're essentially squeezing one note towards the other. And I'm spelling it with a K instead of a C because Taiko has a K in it and, logic. Here's how compression works. You start with a straight beat. One of your hands is your anchor point on the downbeat. The other hand then moves towards the anchor. And in doing this goes from straight beat to dongo, to flam, eventually joining the downbeat into a simultaneous hit, and then you go back the way you came. Let me show you a couple of different demonstrations about what this might look like. Let me break down what I did. Let's take the straight beat that I started with, and let's say that's an 8-count pattern, just for sake of explanation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm moving the 5 closer to the 1, and it might sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then when I'm here, I eventually go back the way I came until I'm back on my straight beat. There is another way that you can compress. Rather than compressing towards this downbeat, you can compress towards this downbeat. So there are 2 downbeats on either side of that 5, that middle note, and you can choose which way you want to compress. So I could go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or I could go 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. And what this means is you now have 2 ways to enter and exit your downbeats, your compression. You can even combine them. You can go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 8, 7, 6, 5. Right? You can continue in that one direction instead of returning the way you came. It's worth noting in the demo I just did, the first example had me go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the second example, I went 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 8, 7, 6, 5. Now, knowing that, I really recommend going back and looking at the demo and see if you can tell the difference. This idea of an 8 count pattern is unrealistic. It's very artificial, and I'm only using it as a way to help you understand what's happening with that middle note and where it can go. More realistic is thinking of like an 80 or, I don't know, 800 count pattern. Maybe not 800. But instead of having easy chunks to land into, you're going to have many, many more chunks to gradually move through. Something else you can do with this drill, if you're not having enough difficulty, is that once you get to the 1, regardless of which way you get there, both hands are on the downbeat, which means either hand can then leave. So for example, if my right hand is playing the downbeat and my left hand is moving towards it, once I'm here, my left hand can then be the downbeat and my right hand can move away. Don't have to, but if you add this to all the other options, it gives you 8 different ways you can do this drill. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Just try the drill. Just do it 2 or 3 times. Forget all the options and possibilities I just said. Do it. Figure out what's natural. Everybody's going to have a certain preference. Maybe you like to go in and back the same way. Maybe you like to go in and switch the hands on the way back. Who knows? You don't know until you do it. And once you've figured out what your preference is, then and only then start analyzing what it is your hands are doing. So you realize, oh, that's what I'm doing. Oh, this is what feels comfortable. Then you can start to apply the options if you choose, but you don't have to. I've got one last variable to throw in, and I actually already did it. If you go back to the demo, you'll notice that the first time through was a lot longer than the second time through. That's because the pacing of the two were different. The rate at which you go from one pattern to the next, how fast or how slow that is your pacing. And the distance between the downbeats is your tempo. So now you have both of those variables you can play with. You can raise or lower the tempo, you can raise or lower the pacing. What does this drill do? Well, it forces you to maintain control, composure, if you will, while you're being uncomfortable. You get these 4 very comfortable, very familiar, solid structures that you're moving through when you're going from the midpoint back to the midpoint. And during this journey, there are 3 times you're going to feel discomfort. The first time this happens is when you leave any of the structures. Every time you leave a structure. Your brain doesn't like that separation from that security you had, and it's going to want to keep you where you are, and you have to eventually, gradually pull away from it. The second time this discomfort happens is when you're in between structures or patterns. This limbo, this gray area is very uncomfortable for your brain. It's going to want you to get to your destination, and you have to tell it, no, I'm moving at this pace, and we'll get there when we get there. And the third time you get discomfort is just when you get to that next destination. Your brain is going to sort of taste the comfort to come, and it wants you to get there. And it's going to want to rush you, and you have to say again, no, we're going to get there when we get there. We're going to take our time. Maintaining control while your brain is yelling at you is not easy to do, but an extremely valuable skill. Now, this means about 90% of this drill, or maybe even more, is discomfort. So it's hard to say that this drill is fun, but there's a challenge, and in that challenge lies the fun. When do you use a drill like this? You'll find that when you do a drill like this, you start to understand the nuance and technique. You start to recognize in yourself when a pattern you're playing that you think is solid isn't quite as solid as it seemed. It's working your sensitivity and working the ability to put the pattern where you want it. And that kind of nuance, that kind of practice is what makes good players into great players. So if you like this video, or at least if you didn't hate the video, let me know with a thumbs up. Subscribing down there, quick and easy, click a button, makes my day. And until next time, keep on practicing and be well.